Rev up your engine. Okay, here's a 2002 Chevy Trailblazer. 302,000 miles, still runs pretty good. Everybody knows I'm not a GM fan, but as I've also said, hey, back in the day, 2002, they were still building decent vehicles. 300-something thousand miles, still got the original engine and stuff in it. Not a bad deal. We're gonna go through the whole thing, but the first thing is, it's got an EVAP code for small leak. Now the guy tried the obvious. He changed the gas cap. He even changed the filler neck. He changed the EVAP canister vent valve. Then he even changed the EVAP canister. But he keeps getting the stupid code for small leak. Now I do have to say, this is a great engine. This is the Vortec 4200. This is a 4.2 liter straight 6-cylinder engine. Now a lot of companies gave up with straight 6s other than BMW, but the other day I did a video on the new Mazda CX-90 that's a straight 6. Beautiful engine. Got 31 miles a gallon on the highway. This is a great engine. It's got 310,000 miles. It still doesn't even burn oil and it runs fine. Now, unfortunately, GM stopped making this 4.2 liter inline 6 Vortec engine in 2009. It was a good engine, but of course GM makes so many mistakes. They screw up all the time. They should have kept this thing. It's a great engine, right? Now in this case, he kept getting a code tripping up for small EVAP leak. Now, I don't understand why he even cares about fixing it. It runs perfectly fine. We're gonna hook up my smoke machine to the EVAP test little thing you screw out and you hook up a smoke machine to see if we can figure out where the leak is. But personally, I think he's a little on the crazy side because this is Tennessee. They do not do testing for that stupid emission stuff. And a tiny leak, who cares? Now, if you live in a state where they do emissions testing, yes. But I wouldn't even care. If it was mine, I would continue to drive it. I would not care. If the gas module went down, if it started smoking, overheated, whatever, yeah. But a tiny EVAP leak doesn't generally mean anything whatsoever. But he wants me to check. So as we go under the hood, this little blue thing, that's the cap for the EVAP test port. We can hook this up to it. It'll blow in the system and we'll see if it's leaking. Just hook it up, then turn on the smoke machine. You can hear it humming. Runs off the battery. Now you see I got my finger over the end. I took it off. See how the pressure is going up? Put my finger over it. If the system is sealed, the pressure will indeed go up. See how it's going up? Now when we hook it up, you see it's holding no pressure at all. So there's definitely a leak. So here the smoke machine comes in real handy. Not only does it show there is a leak, because the pressure is not going up. It should go up, and then when you shut the machine off, it should stay stable. Well, in this case, it's not building up any pressure, so there is a leak in the system. But the question is where? So now we got to look all over the place. And that's where this tiny Autoline Pro light comes in handy. See how super bright it is? You can look around. Especially if you've got fluorescent dye, you can find leaks a lot easier that way. Now, it's hot and sunny, so let me tell you, do it at night. You're gonna see it with a flashlight better. It's bright now. It's gonna be harder to find the leak in the brightness. At least park it under a tree if you can. Now, as I look around, I don't see any smoke coming out under the hood at all. Now realize this, the EVAP system goes from the back, where the filler is, to the gas tank, all the way to the front. You gotta check the whole car under and check out stuff. And the first thing you're gonna realize is, baby's got a plastic gas tank. They'll often leak at the top seams when they get old. The plastic just gets too hard. And as we can see, check it out, smoke is starting to come out from there. The smoke's coming off of the top, it's coming out here. The top of the gas tank has a little bit of a leak. But realize one thing, this is a pressurized system. It pumps pressurized smoke. So in this case, the pressure found the leak. But when you're not pressurizing, when the car's running, of course, the EVAP system is sucking stuff in. It's negative pressure. So it's not leaking to the external world, it's sucking stuff in. If it was an external gas tank leak, you would smell gas. You don't smell gas in that. You see it dripping on the ground. It's totally dry. So in this case, my advice is leave the thing alone, unless you want to buy a very expensive gas tank to stop the stupid light from coming on, especially if you live in a state like Tennessee, where they don't do emissions testing. So bad luck for you guys that live up north or live in some big city where they do the emissions testing. You'd have to replace the gas tank to pass your test to get it so you can legally drive it down the road. In this case, hey, it's 300,000 miles, still runs good. Who cares? Well, at least now we know where the leak is. Now, with the 300,000 plus miles, the guy wants me to tell him what shape it's in. So, here goes my big tell scan tool. Check it out. Like I said, you gotta be impressed. 315,654 miles on the original straight 6 inline engine, and it still doesn't burn oil. And it's doing its little thinking here. It's an older vehicle, so it'll take a little bit longer to think. Knows it's an 02 light duty truck. Apology scan. So, here we go. Well, we are. Let's just kind of look around. Still in good shape. The fabric seats are still in excellent shape. Now they ran into something in the back. There's a little ding on the side, but can't blame the vehicle on that. Tranny still shifts good. The AC still freezing cold. They don't make them like they used to. The dash isn't cracked either. And if you listen, it's not shaking at all. That little EVAP leak doesn't affect the running much at all. Okay, it's got 5 trouble codes. Let's start with the powertrain, which is 1. Probably be the EVAP leak 1. Trouble code, just like I said, we don't really care about that. We know it's got a tiny leak in the tank. We don't care. It doesn't smell. It's not leaking gas, and it runs fine. Here's another trouble code. Pump motor circuit open. Hey, it runs good enough. Who cares? Just wants to see what kind of shape the vehicle's in. Is it worth keeping? Go to the body control module. See what baloney codes exist there. This is your compartment dimming circuit. Class 2 data malfunction. Another thing, we don't give a crap. This thing runs good enough. Nothing's going to be perfect electronically in the GM of this age. Last one is traction control. You really don't expect it to work on one this old. And the traction control trouble code is pump motor circuit open, which you already saw in the other one, so we really don't care about it. Now we'll look at live data to see what shape the engine is in. We'll go to the powertrain, and we'll go to live data. We'll do engine first, check it for misfires. Realize it's got 316,000 miles, and we got 0 misfires up and down the line, no problems at all. General data, remember it's color-coded. Black is good, red is bad. Short-term fuel trim, 0. It's gonna move around, now it's 1, 0, 1. That's pretty good for an old car like this. And you expect this. The long-term fuel trim, it's subtracting 4%. Hey, it's an old car. I'm sure the injectors leak a little, especially on these vortex systems, but it runs fine otherwise, so we really don't care. For its mileage, it's in pretty good shape. Well, let's go back to transmission data. Have any codes, and we can see this data is black. None of it's red so far. Shows pretty good data, so let's take it for a road test. Big mistake, GM, not making these inline 4.2 liter straight 6-cylinder engines. They're great engines. Oh, taking off. So far, so good. That noise is just water rustling around. A lot of times you'll get water in a heater core, make a little noise, gets a little air in it. Typical when you get old, but it's running fine, isn't overheating. I didn't hear any excessive bearing noise, even though it's got 300,000 miles on it. Still handles quite well. Not a bad ride for a truck SUV, really. We come to a stop. Brakes still work perfectly fine. The ABS system still works. Doesn't lock up any wheels. Now comes a drag strip test. Take this truck SUV out in the country where it belongs. Get to our little drag strip here. Check in the back. There's nobody behind us to rear end us. We don't care if anybody's in front of us, but we don't want to get rear ended. People drive faster. And here we go. Full speed ahead. Engine sounds good. Now, the tranny had a little delay shift, but really, I'm going full throttle. It's got 316,000 miles or so on it, so really not that bad. It shifts pretty smooth. Let's check the passing gear. We're going 50, we'll floor it. It went down into passing gear good. No problem with that. No clunks when you let loose. But the real shining star is the engine. A straight 6-cylinder engine, close to 260 horsepower. Hey, it's smooth. Still runs good. 315,000 miles later, doesn't burn any oil. Why, oh why, Chevy, don't you build these engines anymore? I'm guessing they last too long and they want to sell you a new car every 100,000 miles. Well, here we are back where we started from, and I gotta admit, this thing runs so smooth. I just have one thing to say. GM, you used to make great vehicles like this, right? Not anymore. You're not gonna get 300-something thousand miles. The trannies all break 120, 140,000 miles. This thing's got the original tranny. Still runs like a dream. Engine doesn't burn oil. 316,000 miles. GM, why don't you make them like you used to? Hey, if you can find one of these straight 6-cylinder engines, they are great engines. This one's 316,000, still going strong. I just don't understand. What did GM do wrong? Why did they used to make good cars in the early 2000s, and now they make crap? I don't know. I guess they're cutting too many corners. They have idiots running the show. Whatever. This old one is still in excellent shape. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Steve K2 says, spark plugs, to change or not to change? That is the question. He says, I've got a 2011 Toyota Venza, 98,000 miles. It runs great. I don't drive it much. Should I have the spark plugs changed in this 12-year-old car? It's got the back three that are hard to get to. Would take a long time. The dealer wants $700. If it's got iridium plugs, they're probably still good. So the front three are easy to get to. It's the back three that are hard. Take out one of the front three and look at it. You can get a spark plug gap measurer for $5 at an auto parts store. Measure the gap between the electrode and the metal on the top. Measure. If it's within a few thousandths of an inch of what the stock gap was, it's fine. Put them back in and don't worry about it. Iridium plugs can often last more than 200,000 miles. But if you see they're all worn out, yeah, then you're going to have to replace them. Other people than the Toyota dealer, I would change it for $300, right? And they want $700. Other people can change them. It's not impossible to do. But they're all going to wear the same. So check out one in the front. And if it's not worn, the ones in the back aren't. Just keep going. I've seen them go 200,000 miles and they're still working fine. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.